Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, part 35. This creature is known as a woolly monkey, and due to poachers and people trading and selling them illegally, there's only 1,000 of these little guys left in the world. The uncanny valley is a phenomenon in which people become fearful at things that are very close to human, but something isn't quite right. Throughout history, mummies actually weren't that rare, that is, until the Victorian British ate so many of them. During the Arctic exploration, one of the scientists was complaining that his shoes were soaking wet. Later, when he took them off, he found this was because his feet were decaying and liquidized with his blood. A man once donated his recently deceased mother's body for scientific research. Later, he discovered that the research facility sold it to the US Army for $5,000, strapped it to a chair, and blew it up with explosives.
This is by far one of the worst ways somebody has ever died, and whatever you do, don't look up the video. This is the most disturbing sporting accident I ever came across. On January 19th, 1991, the Lamberthorne race was cancelled due to a horrible skiing accident. Gernot Rangstandler, who was a 20-year-old contestant, was going downhill at full speed when he suddenly lost control as he was approaching the finish line. And he then slammed head-on into safety nets at extremely high speeds. This then trapped one of his skis inside the net, which resulted in his right leg almost being completely torn off. He also fractured his pelvis and was literally ripped in half. The impact caused serious internal injuries, fractures, and nerve damages. He was then transported by a helicopter to a hospital in Switzerland, where he received several blood transfusions, but despite receiving numerous blood transfusions, both during and after the operation, he later passed away from severe pelvic bleeding. The video is extremely graphic, and I'll explain it to you right now. In the video, you see Gernot going down a ski mountain when he suddenly goes airborne. He then collides with the safety net mid-air while going full speed, and his body then starts sliding down the mountain, but at this point you immediately notice something is wrong. As his body is spinning out of control, a trail of blood is following him, staining the entire mountain in the process. And at this point you see a lot of blood, and you also see Gernot almost ripped in half. His body then stops at the bottom of the hill as a pool of blood forms around him and people come to help. This video is just awful because it's one of those things that you can't imagine ever happening, but it does. How does a safety net rip somebody's body in half? It's just honestly insane, and please don't look up the video because it's extremely disturbing.
Creature caught on camera. While camping, a group notices one of the girls is missing.
Has been gone for so freaking long.
They go searching for her when they hear her scream. As they get closer, they find this teepee structure, and then this happens.
Tiptoe through the window, all the windows, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me.
This is the bear video, one of the worst animal attacks caught on camera, explained. The local forest department of this village organized this bear hunt because of the bear attacks against humans in the area. The man in the video was tracking the bear for a while and even set up a trap, but he was ambushed and mauled. The victim's piercing screams alerted his colleagues, who would rush to the scene, and one of the victim's fellow hunters filmed the gruesome encounter. As you play the video, you see the man laid out on the floor wearing a green jacket with the female sloth bear on top of him, and immediately you hear the victim's awful screams, and these screams are way different from any of the screams you will ever hear. The camera zooms in and you see the bear has almost mounted the victim and has its jaws locked around the victim's face. And it seems the bear is going for the throat. Loud commotion can be heard in the background, and the crowd tries to stop the bear from attacking by firing their guns and throwing stones at it. As the victim wrestles underneath the bear, you see some of his injuries. His face and throat are covered in blood, and the ground is also stained with blood. You can see the bear bite his face and pull, ripping a piece of flesh from his face. The bear then shakes its head to get the blood off its face, and it then goes in for another bite, and this time, biting the man's throat and pulling away sharply, and it appears as a piece of flesh hanging from the victim's head. The video then ends as the mauling is still taking place. There's rumors that there's a longer version of this video, but I haven't seen it yet. According to reports, the attack lasted about 10 minutes until the bear was finally shot and killed, but the injuries the victim had would result in his death. I don't recommend looking for this video, mainly because of the graphic nature, but also because the screams of the victim are definitely the worst screams you will ever hear. Just imagine being attacked by a bear and being pinned down underneath it. Wow, it just rips you apart and there's nothing you can do. The thought of that is just absolutely horrific.
A 14-year-old has shot and killed his sister over Christmas presents. Abrielle Baldwin was a 23-year-old mother of 2. On Christmas Eve, she was at her nan's house with her brothers, 14-year-old DeMarcus and 15-year-old Darcus. According to reports, an argument broke out over Christmas presents and DeMarcus shot Abrielle in the chest. It's believed she was holding her 11-month-old child at the time. It's reported that DeMarcus was upset that Darcus had received more Christmas presents than him. The other brother, Darcus, then apparently shot DeMarcus with a different firearm and then fled the scene. DeMarcus and Abrielle were rushed to hospital and unfortunately Abrielle passed away. DeMarcus was described as being in a stable condition. Abrielle had 2 sons, a 6-year-old and an 11-month-old, who are now left without a mum. Darcus was taken to a mental health facility and once released he will be moved to a juvenile assessment centre. DeMarcus has been charged with first-degree murder, child abuse and delinquent in possession of a firearm. Darcus has been charged with attempted murder and tampering with evidence.
Shocking surveillance footage captured the moment a Las Vegas lesbian allegedly dumped her girlfriend's mother's body by the side of the road in broad daylight before speeding away to murder her girlfriend. 37-year-old Rosemary Meza is facing 2 murder charges over the deaths of her girlfriend, Alyssa Valdovinos, and her girlfriend's mother, Norma Rios Valdovinos, in September. Prosecutors have now released footage of what they claim is Meza callously discarding Rios Valdovinos' body on the sidewalk after she allegedly strangled her with a shoelace that was later found in her vehicle during a car accident. As investigators looked into the body found on the side of the road, a welfare check was performed on Meza's girlfriend's home, leading them to discover Valdovinos dead from a suspected strangulation with the same shoelace.
Oh no. No, 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 no.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard has been seen in public for the first time since her release on Thursday as she checked out of a hotel to begin her life as a free woman. The 32-year-old Munchausen by proxy victim was spotted leaving a Fairfield Inn and Suites in Missouri, where she had stayed overnight shortly after walking free from prison almost 12 hours earlier. The couple then drove to a mall in a convoy of cars, including producers and a camera crew, that have been following the abuse victim around for their Lifetime show, where Blanchard bought 2 pairs of sneakers.
Terrifying things that were caught on camera in the woods. This rare footage filmed on a mountain in 2011 shows a family on a hike when they spot something strange on the top of the mountain. A large blurry figure is seen from a distance and they all think it's just a person until they see its arms. After a while it disappears into the distance and the family is left confused. It's still unknown what it actually was, but it certainly wasn't a human. What do you think it was?
If you're ever driving on the highway, you might want to be careful. On October 18, 2017, a 32-year-old man named Kenneth White was driving down the Interstate 75 highway at Michigan in his van at roughly 80 miles per hour. All was good until suddenly a huge rock suddenly crashed to his front windshield, fracturing Kenneth's skull and chest and ultimately killing him. And if you're wondering where the rock came from, it was later revealed that these 5 teenagers threw the rock as part of a sick and dangerous game called overpassing, where if you hit a car, which was called a dinger, you would earn points and the winner received money. And so after one of the teens managed to hit Kenneth's car, all of them immediately fled the scene and ate at a local fast food restaurant with no sense of what they have just done. What's even worse is that these 5 teens didn't just do this once, but multiple times on the same I-75 highway, meaning they could have hurt others. Kyle Anger, who was an adult at the time of the incident and the one who threw the rock that killed Kenneth, pled guilty to second-degree murder and received a sentence of 3 to 20 years in prison with credit for 740 days already served. However, he was released in January 2021 after serving only 39 months in prison, while the other 4 teens were all sentenced to just 1 year of probation.
Okay, you guys, so some video footage was recently uploaded into the Find Savannah Soto discussion group on Facebook. I made a video a little bit ago, but I deleted it because I realized it gave some incorrect information, so I'm going to correct myself here. Now, I don't know who these three guys are, but a lot of people are thinking that one of them is the boyfriend of that one chick who was talking all that crap about Savannah on her Instagram and then her TikTok. This is what he looks like. And then here's two of the dudes from in that video. Now, in it, I personally can't understand a single word they're saying, but a lot of people state that you can hear them talking about Matthew being deceased. There's been a lot of talk about this video in that discussion group tonight, and people are also stating that apparently an arrest was made. I don't know, that hasn't been confirmed by the police, but people are stating that, so I'm going to try like hell to find out. I will keep everybody updated.
Because nigga, you don't know something like that. And her nigga that nigga, I'm blowing up right now over that shit. Like, oh yeah, they fucking see it.
These are pictures with the most disturbing backstories, part 5. This is Travis the chimp. And he lived with Sandra and Jerome Harold since he was a young chimp and was often treated like a member of the family. However, one day he exhibited unusually aggressive behavior, which made the Harolds call their friend Nash for assistance. But when Nash arrived at the Harolds' home, Travis the chimp suddenly attacked her. And the attack was extremely gruesome. Travis the chimp targeted Nash's face and hands. It ripped off both of her eyelids and then proceeded to rip her nose clean off, blinding her and also severing several parts of her body and lacerating her face. Travis the chimp was then shot and killed by police who arrived at the scene. Nash's injuries were so severe that she underwent a face transplant and lost both of her hands in an attempt to save her life. But miraculously, she would pull through. I would show you pictures of the attack, but they're extremely gruesome and I probably can't show them. So instead, I will play the 911 call made by the Harolds as Nash was being attacked by Travis the chimp. And you can hear the chimp in the video going absolutely crazy.
What's the problem? Send the police! What's the problem there? The chimp killed my friend! What's the problem with your friend? I need to know. Send the police up! With a gun! With a gun! Hurry up! Who has a gun? Please, hurry up! He's killing my girlfriend! What is the problem? He's killing my friend! Who's killing your friend? My chimpanzee! Oh, your chimpanzee is killing your friend. Yes. He ripped her apart! Hurry up! With a gun. Hurry up, please! There's someone on the way. With guns, please! Shoot him! What is the monkey doing? Tell me what the monkey's doing. He ripped her face off! He ripped her face off? He tried to attack me! Please, okay, hurry. I need you to calm down a little bit. They're on the way. Can you put yourself away? I don't want...
Gypsy Rose's family had a welcome home party for her last night, and it is the sweetest thing. Her stepsister Mia posted some photos of the party on her Instagram account. Here you see Gypsy with her stepsister Mia, her stepmom Christy, and her father Rod. Here's some more photos from the night. Gypsy just looks so dang happy. Mia Blanchard, who shares a father with Gypsy, has a TikTok account where she's been posting about updates about Gypsy, and a few months ago she also shared about Gypsy's official Instagram and TikTok accounts. At the party, it looked like they also had those little confetti poppers and that Gypsy's husband Ryan was there. It's so good to see that not only does Gypsy have her husband, but that she also has lots of family members supporting her to help her transition into her new life. There are likely going to be a lot of spam accounts pretending to be Gypsy, so this is her official Instagram, her official TikTok account. She's going to be featured in an upcoming Lifetime special, and she's also written a book which is set to release on January 9th. And you can actually already pre-order the book on Amazon. I think Gypsy is going to have such an impact, like she says in her bio here, advocating awareness of Munchausen by proxy. You're already doing amazing, Gypsy.
This has to be one of the scariest videos I've ever seen. No ghosts, no spirits, real life. A young female real estate photographer was taking photos for her job one day. She happened to be in an occupied house. The resident began following her around. She says this wasn't unusual, so she didn't think anything of it, until she started noticing multiple locks on certain doors, and even a camera pointed toward one of these doors. When she goes upstairs, a man comes out of one of the rooms. What happens next is straight out of a horror film. You have to see the video for yourself.
Okay, so I took pictures of this house, and this guy was following me around like the whole time, which isn't unusual, but he was a little bit strange, and there was like 6 people living in this house, and it's a hoarder house. But I also noticed they have like 3 locks on the door, and then down here they have locks, and then going up here they have a camera, and it's facing this door. Anyway, a roommate comes out of this door, and he asks them if he should lock the door and kidnap me. And I said, immediately, people know where I am. And then he laughed and said, no one would ever hear from you again. Bro, I did not even finish this house. I immediately left. I was like, nope, dipped the out. You can see me right there. Hello. But yeah, pretty sure I maybe almost got kidnapped, but I don't really know.
If you're a woman and you've ever had any close calls like this, let me know in the comments below. We need to spread awareness that things like this really happen.
Here's what actually happens during sleep paralysis. You feel like you're away, and you can both hear and see things, but you can't actually move because your body is still asleep. It might last a couple of seconds or a few minutes, and during that time you can't really move or speak. People have reported to feel a weight on their chest, like there was someone standing or sitting right on it. Additionally, you might feel a lot of fear due to a nightmare. Sleep paralysis usually happens either right before you fall asleep or right before you wake up.
A jinn is basically a form of demon that has been known to possess animals or humans. What's terrifying is that you could see that the water sounded and looked like it actually hit something before falling to the ground. So even though we couldn't see it, we could hear it, and you could see that the water physically hit it.
This is the tiger video, one of the most gruesome animal attacks caught on camera, explained. The video originates from India, and the victims' names are Vikas Jamboka and his wife Manabi. They went to the forest for a walk one day to take in nature, but the area they were in is known to be populated by tigers, and attacks on humans in the area were reported in the past. While the couple was on their walk, they were ambushed by tigers, and according to reports online, both Vikas and Manabi were dead. The video of Vikas being attacked by the tigers was recorded by the locals. The video is 44 seconds long, and as you play the video, Vikas can be seen lying on the ground with the tiger sitting next to him. And you also see 3 other tigers in the background, going in circles stalking the area. You then start to hear a loud commotion in the background as the crowd looks on. Someone in the crowd then shoots a gun near the tigers, which scares them for a brief moment. Vikas then attempts to crawl away, but he's delirious and covered in blood. As he crawls away, gunshots continue as the crowd tries to scare the tigers. But as you watch, they are still surrounding and circling the victim. One of the tigers then runs to Vikas and bites him on the neck and proceeds to shake its head as it attempts to sever the jugular. This draws piercing screams from the crowd as it appears Vikas will most likely die. As the tiger bites and completely ragdolls Vika's, gunshots continue to fire, but at this point the tigers are not scared. And the tiger who bit his throat continues to maul him. And the video then concludes. After the video ends, it's presumed that the tigers dragged Vikas away and killed him, but that's not the case. Vikas was found alive, but his injuries were just horrific. Photos of the aftermath can be found online, and there are 3 images. The images show Vikas's face completely destroyed. The left side of his face is completely hanging off, and he has also been partially scalped to the point where you can see his white skull. Vikas survived, but according to numerous reports, his wife passed away. It's honestly extremely lucky that Vikas survived, and many people believe the reason for this is because the tigers were not hungry enough. I really don't recommend looking for this video or images because they are truly disturbing and it's something you really just don't want to see.
This is why it's so important to be careful about who you trust when you go on vacation. In this photo are British twins Melissa and Georgia Laurie, and they miraculously survived one of the most horrendous crocodile attacks. So the twins had been backpacking across Mexico, and in the middle of their backpacking trip, they stopped over in Puerto Escondido, and they were attracted to the specific area because of the Mañaltepec Lagoon, where it's known for its bioluminescence sightings. Now on that fateful day, both of the girls wanted to do some exploring, and at their hostel that day, they had also met this guy known as Richie. And he had told the girls that he could take them on a guide of the lagoon. But unfortunately, what the girls didn't know is that he was unauthorized. And he was also unaware that parts of the lagoon were breeding areas for crocodiles. But unfortunately, both of the girls ended up trusting this guy and decided to go on the boating excursion. Both of the girls had also met some additional friends at the hostel named Annie and Gopal. And those 2 friends had also joined them on the boating excursion. And when they got to the lagoon, all 4 of them had asked Richie if the lagoon was safe to swim in, to which he replied yes. And so with that, the group had no reason to fear the water, and so they ended up jumping in. Suddenly, Gopal and Melissa saw something floating in the water. Initially, they thought it was a large log, but then Melissa took a closer look and then saw eyes. That's when she quickly realized it was a crocodile and it was heading straight towards her. Immediately, all 4 of them started swimming to safety. Georgia was able to get to shore, and their 2 friends Annie and Gopal were able to climb onto the mangroves. Melissa was right behind Annie as he was about to pull her up onto the mangrove with him. And just as she extended her right arm, her left arm was bitten. And that's exactly when the giant crocodile grabbed her arm and took her underwater and began a death roll. And Melissa was conscious the entire time this was happening. All she remembers was being violently shaken over and over again. And all her twin sister Melissa could do at this point was watch in horror at what was happening to her twin. But finally, the crocodile let her go and left Melissa's body floating in the water. And that's when Georgia went back in to save her sister. But as she tried to get her sister out of the water, the crocodile came back. It then clamped down onto Melissa's foot while Georgia started punching it in the nose as hard as she could. She was able to scare the crocodile off, but it just came back for a 3rd attack. And this time it clamped down on Melissa's abdomen. But her sister just kept punching the crocodile and even took a few bites of her own. Eventually, the crocodile decided to leave them alone and the 2 girls were able to get pulled back onto the boat. It was a life and death situation for both of the girls, but thankfully they would go on to recover, along with scars that remind them of that fateful day. And as for this guy, he disappeared after the attack.
This is the backpacking beheadings, the tragic case of Louise Jesperson and Marie Newlin. Before Louise Jesperson and Marie Newlin embarked on their journey to Morocco, Louise posted on Facebook letting her friends know she would be making a trip to Morocco and was asking anyone out there if they knew about Mount Tubkul, and the theory is this post put the attackers on high alert and apparently how the girls would become targets of the attackers. Nobody knows how true this is, but it's the leading theory. But the girls continued on their journey, and eventually as night fell, they set up camp to rest. During their hike, it's believed the attackers were stalking their victims, waiting for them to stop, waiting for them to get further away from civilization, and once this happened, the attacks ensued. The attack was brutal, and both Louise and Maureen were brutally beheaded, and some reports even claim the girls were sexually assaulted. The murder of Louise Jesperson was recorded and posted online. It's believed Marie Newlin was murdered first, but there's no video of that, though people online claim it's out there. The video starts with Louise Jesperson lying on her stomach, and she's wearing a t-shirt and underwear. And almost immediately, the terrorist attempts to behead her. But he starts from the back of the neck, and that usually isn't the way to do it. Right when he cuts, Louise says ow and begins to scream, and apparently in her native language she was begging for her mother. Once the man beheading her realizes it's hard to behead someone from behind, he then turns her over, and one of the people he was with stomps on her face to hold her down, and he then starts beheading her from the neck. And at this point, there's a lot of blood and a lot of screaming and gurgling. He then begins hacking at her neck to complete the beheading, and once he's beheaded Louise Jesperson, he picks up her head and takes it to her tent and places it inside, and the video concludes. It's a quick video, but it's extremely bloody, extremely horrible, and extremely sad. It's definitely one of the worst beheadings I ever covered, mainly because these girls were very young, very naive, and didn't deserve what happened to them at all. One of the girls even posted how the world is safe and that we shouldn't judge people, and it's super sad that they paid the price of this with their life. Please don't go looking for this video because it will stick with you forever and it's really not worth it. Rest in peace to Louise Jesperson and Marie Newlin.